election without approval, without any budget.
Okay. So, according to initial plans, the assembly was supposed to go on recess today, and the 48-hour ultimatum was supposed to expire today. Now there has been an extension for 72 hours, and they say they will not go on that recess until this is resolved. Well, naturally, lots of questions would trail this conversation. But my guest is Dr. Gift Worlu. He is the former commissioner for housing right here in River State, and he joins me live in the studio. Good day, Dr. Worlu.
Thank you, Sam. Always happy to have a conversation with you.
Yes, indeed. It's a pleasure to have you here with us. Normally, I would want to catch up on all the lost times, considering the last time a conversation happened. It's been quite a while. How is life with you, politics, education, family, and everything?
Well, all good. We thank God who enables us. One thing in life is that you must keep hope alive.
Indeed. I agree.
And that's exactly what I'm doing.
Okay. So, you are no stranger to the politics of the state. I'm sure that you're a stakeholder in many ways, shape, and form. But for this episode, because I always call it a drama series, for the latest, what do you make of the current political drama playing out in the state?
First, I will say that I'm not happy as a Rivers person.
Okay.
Because I know that Rivers State holds a lot of promise for her people and for Nigeria, if not for the whole world at large. And that what is happening in Rivers State is casting Rivers State in bad light, driving away investors, not allowing brothers and sisters to relate as so, and perhaps setting the stage for a gloomy future. Now, to talk about the politics and politicking that is going on in Rivers State. Sam, many years back, as a student, in the early 90s, I started university in 1993. At that time, we had that election and all kinds of things happened, so we couldn't start. So we started effectively in 1994.
Okay.
And between 1994 up until 1999, apart from the short period that Shonekon was interim president, yes, yeah, Nigerians were clamoring for a return to democratic rule. People died. People went on exile. Of course, you know the story of our current president.
Yeah.
He ran away from this country for fear that he could be killed. People lost property. People were arrested and detained, including students. And I recall that the late Chief Gade Fawemi used to tell us then, and I believed him, that the worst democratic government is better than the best military government.
That's a popular quote.
Yes, and at that time, we had a government. There was an executive arm of government. We had the military president in Babangida's time. At other times, we had military heads of state. And we had MILADs, military administrators in the various states. So there was an executive arm of government. The judiciary was also working because the courts were not shut down. The judiciary was at work attending to cases that came to court.
Yeah.
But Nigerians said that they wanted a democratic government. You know why? Because there was no legislature.
No legislature, yeah.
So, to that extent, I believe that the real meaning of democracy is expressed in the existence of legislature.
Okay.
Because if you remove legislature from what we are doing now, it returns back to military dictatorship or any other kind of thing. But it cannot be called a democracy.
Okay.
And that is why in the recent ruling of the Supreme Court was very clear in saying that there is no government that can be called democratic in Rivers State. Now, see what the Supreme Court said. The Supreme Court said that looking at what has happened in Rivers State, that, let me see whether I can get the quote from the Supreme Court. A government cannot be said to exist without one of the three arms that make up the government of a state under the 1999 Constitution. In this case, the executive arm of the government has chosen to collapse the legislature to enable him govern without the legislature as a despot. As it is, there is no government in Rivers State. And then the Supreme Court went on to authenticate who is the Speaker and the Right Assembly for Rivers people, and made other pronouncements, including the fact that budget should be presented, and so on and so forth. So the State Assembly, in inviting the Rsiec chairman and his commissioners, are acting within the Constitution and in the best interest of Rivers people. And that is because I want to believe that, knowing that in this current dispensation that we call democratic, that they know that they are the representatives of Rivers people. In other words, it's like Rivers people inviting an official of government to come and explain to them or give account for his stewardship. And if such a person or individual or group of persons refuse to appear before Rivers people to explain to them how they are spending their money, I think that it will be the height of disrespect to Rivers people, not to Martin Amehule, not to 27 lawmakers, but the people of Rivers State. Because don't forget, what we have is a representative democracy, not the Greek parliament where everybody gathered to make decision. Unfortunately, because of lack of understanding, before I got here, I listened to you talk about a few other things, including the issue of road naming and other, and you were hammering on the fact that there's so much misunderstanding of how things are supposed to be done. And it is that misunderstanding that is leading a lot of people not to know that having elected representatives to government who are in the house, having elected a governor, that we can no longer directly be involved in governance. So anybody who has any issues or any qualms with what any assembly member is doing, the person can go to their constituency. Because, for example, Martin Amehule, who is the Speaker of Rivers State Assembly, he comes from Obiakpo constituency 1. I am from Obiakpo constituency 2. He's not my direct representative.
It's not your rep.
Right? Some other people are from Ahuda, somebody is from Opobo and Boni and other places. Some people are from the Ogoni axis. Those people represent specific constituencies, and it is their constituents who can invite them, have discussions with them, tell them what they want them to do in the house, what they should say, how they should say it, what they should decide, and how they should decide. Not for us to come to radio stations and be, threatening thunder and brimstone, saying that Rivers State must be like this or must not be like that. There is a government. Okay. What we need is for there to be respect among the three arms of government, because these three arms are semi-independent. And if you want to ask me if we are going to establish any kind of hierarchy, it is the legislature first before you talk about even the executive. The reason is simple. Without laws being made by the legislature, there is no law for the executive to execute. Before you talk about interpretation in the event that there is a disagreement or misunderstanding. And then when you talk about running away from dictatorship or despotic rule of any kind, it is the instrument of checks and balances, the instrument of oversight, the instrument of representation that allows the house to control the excesses of whoever is the chief executive. In other words, if you remove the house, anybody who is in power automatically becomes a dictator.
Okay.
And I'm sure that that's not what Rivers people want. I'm sure that that's not what the drafters of our constitution contemplated. And I'm sure that that is not what the promise of democracy is. And if we are to get the dividends of democracy, we need to first try to understand democracy, how it works, work in line with the principles and procedures, and then I'm sure that over time we will be able to get to our Eldorado.
All right. So you have emphasized the importance of representation. You've spoken about the need for all the arms of government to function optimally for it to qualify as a democracy. I might differ in opinion, not to what you've said because I agree with it, but to the hierarchy of the arms of government, like you painted it. But before I even go there, I understand that there is a judicial language, right? A way that things are interpreted in court. And what has been officially expressed is that there was no assembly. That's what has been said.
Yes.
That there was no assembly.
And to that extent, there was no government.
Exactly. But
there is still no government.
But no. There is an assembly
because
now.
The governor
there is an assembly now,
okay.
Right?
But the governor has refused to recognize them.
No. The governor said,
as we speak,
that
as at today,
the governor's position was he needs to go through the certified copy of the judgment. That was his position.
Yes.
And today it was made public. So we are looking at the governor now from what he said.
It's today that I'm talking now. As at today, there is still no government.
No, there's
the governor has not recognized the assembly.
No, now, Dr. Worlu,
and people are spending government money.
Someone continue to go and do this. I say, wait first, make this one happen. That one is still happening now. It's today now. So after today, we can now say, oh, based on the actions of government, the governor has not recognized.
No, if he recognizes them by tomorrow, then we can say there is government. But as at today, there's no government.
Dr. Worlu, it's coming.
Are you going against the Supreme Court?
No, there is government. No, we cannot say there's no government.
It's okay, no problem.
The point I was going to make, even though I'm very close to a break, is now the Supreme Court has said that there was no assembly. But how the common man saw what happened in River State is like a lady who went to marry a man and maybe had kids for the man and did with the man what a wife would do with a husband, and later her father, who is supposed to give blessing, come and say, this man that you married is not who I recognize as your husband. This is who I have given blessing. And maybe not just her father, all the kingsmen, people that should have a say in the life of that woman. Now, in explaining her plight, you would not say she did not have a husband. You would say that the husband that she chose was not recognized by the customs.
No, see.
The good thing is we are close to a break. Exactly. So you will hold that thought. You will hold it.
For more talk, news,
92.3 Nigeria Info. Sam Orkuchinedu here. We're having conversations about rivers, our rivers, and the latest installment in this series is that the Rivers State House of Assembly has extended the ultimatum given to the chairman of Rsiec to appear before it, and the extension was by 72 hours. My guest is Dr. Gift Worlu, a former commissioner for housing in Rivers State. You're welcome once again, Doctor.
Thank you.
All right. So, before the break, I gave an analogy of a marriage.
Yeah.
And while some might describe the father of the girl might say that, as far as I'm concerned, you're not married, those who have followed the story will say that, indeed, she was in a relationship, it just was not recognized by the customs.
Sam, I'll answer you with a political example.
All right.
Something happened on October the 9th last year in Rivers State. And people were said to have been elected as local government chairmen. They were sworn in, they assumed office, they functioned for about 4 months up till now. Mm-hmm. And in the end, the Supreme Court comes and says, what you did is not known to the law. That election never held because the laid down electoral procedures were not followed. Can those people be called ex-chairmen today? The answer is no. They were never chairmen. It's like the issue of Governor Mejia. He was governor for about 7 months. And the Supreme Court comes and says, no, you were never on the ballot because you didn't win the primaries. The person who won the primaries is Chibuike Rotimi Amechi. Swear him in immediately, and that was done. And the court says that in the eyes of the law, Omehia never functioned as governor of Rivers State.
But even though the court said that, the former governor of this state, who is now the FCT minister...
No, that issue should not arise because...
No, it should.
No. See, that issue should not arise. The point we're making here is, you see, it doesn't matter what any individual does. When that thing that you have done is put on the table of the law, and the law says it is not right, it doesn't matter who did it.
Yeah, but Dr. Worlu, this conversation is happening between you and I because of what individuals have done or failed to do.
It doesn't make it right.
No, it's not. It's not a question of what is right.
See, listen.
No, it is a question of what is right, actually.
It's not. Yes, it doesn't make it right. It doesn't matter whether it was done by a Wike or by President Tinubu or whoever. What is wrong is wrong. What is wrong is wrong, and that is where we should not betray our consciences all in the name of playing politics. And that is what is wrong about the kind of politics we play in Rivers State.
Dr. Worlu,
let us assume that somebody did something wrong in the past, and then I do the same thing now. Can I be excused simply because I'm saying, what about when this other person did it?
No, you should not. However, your punishment can be more.
It doesn't matter.
No, because of who you are, right?
My punishment should not be more. My punishment should be based on the law.
There is a place for who you are, right?
Yes.
While I understand that the law.
No, Sam. Let's not deviate this argument.
Dr. Worlu, no. There are people that can be wronger than others.
No. My understanding of the way the law works is this. The law is blind. The law doesn't see whether you are big or small.
Okay.
The law doesn't recognize your color. It doesn't recognize your level of education.
Yes.
Your status in society. You commit an offense, stealing. The law says the punishment for stealing is 12 strokes of the cane.
Okay.
Whoever commits that offense gets 12 strokes of the cane.
If a police officer,
yes,
who we know what his mandate is,
yes,
commits that same offense,
yes, he should get 12 strokes of the cane. If you give him 12 and 1.5 stroke of the cane, you have gone against the law.
There is a graver punishment.
You have committed another crime.
There is a graver punishment for a person whose responsibility it is to protect and serve.
No law says so. The policeman is a citizen of the country. He too is, as an individual, responsible for what he has done and should be punished according to the law. There is no law in Nigeria that says that if an offense is committed by a police officer, that he should get a higher punishment. There is no such law.
Dr. Worlu, if I contravene a part of the Constitution,
Yes.
and a judge, by calling him a judge, we know who he is and what he represents,
Yes.
contravenes a part of the Constitution,
Yes.
we are not looked at equally.
By which law?
It is not.
Is
these
that-
are two Nigerians because of what the judge represents.
Do we have two sets of laws? One for law officers and the other one for all other Nigerians. We don't have such law.
There are.
If you do that, you'll be pandering to emotion. You'll be thinking that, oh, because this man is the one who is supposed to punish people for doing this and has been punishing people who did that thing, so let's give him more strokes of the cane. If you do that and the man goes to court, he will win, because there is no law enabling you to do that. That is the law.
Okay. Now, the Rivers State House of Assembly also said that the commissioners that were screened by the non-existent house
Yep.
have automatically been sacked. They didn't even say they've been sacked, but that the governor should send another list of nominees for screening. Now, you were a commissioner in this state, and you were also screened.
Yeah.
And I know that this is a topic, because even off radio, we've had this conversation that you are passionate about the separation or fusion of power, as the case may be, between executive and legislative. As a matter of fact, in your resignation letter, you cited this particular issue.
In a way.
Yes, that one of the reasons why you were resigning was because of how executive and legislative did not seem to do what they were supposed to do as they should. Now, I want to ask you directly. Let me read a part of that letter. You said the toxic atmosphere that has characterized working relationship, especially smoldering arbitrariness of decisions and actions, including attempts to fuse the executive and legislative arms of government in Rivers State. So you've been consistent with this message.
Yep.
When you resigned, off air when we talk, and now on this show. Dr. Gibbs Worlu, what was this toxic relationship while you were commissioner? Because Sim Fubara was still the governor and is still the governor right now. That made you resign, that you just could not have enough of it, and you say, you know what? I have to step away because I am a man that is upright.
Okay, I'll put it this way. I didn't lobby to be a commissioner.
Okay.
I know that I tried my best as a party man to contribute my quota to ensure victory for the PDP.
Okay.
I was a member of the state campaign committee. I was a member of the local government campaign committee. I was the alternate chairman of campaign in my ward.
Okay.
I put in money, time, and energy to ensure victory for the PDP in my own little sphere of influence. And then somehow, when you're dancing, some people are watching. Some people, saw that maybe I had a good dance. And maybe because they have followed me on social media or radio and all of that, they have followed my activities in the place where I work. And so they felt maybe they should give me this opportunity to go prove my worth in the government.
Okay.
And I was very happy. I went into that government with so much enthusiasm and energy. And the problem started. In fact, we were sworn in on a Friday, and by Sunday, the State House of Assembly building went down. And then the problem continued up till now. So, somewhere along the line, we started seeing things that suggest that some commissioners were tagged pro-Wike and others were tagged pro-governor.
There were reasons why they were given those tags.
Those reasons, probably the way I saw it, because I've told people that all of us, including the governor, were all Wike's children. Because PDP in Rivers State, the leader of the PDP is Wike. He was the one who brought the governor against the run of play. The governor was not even a member of the party.
Dr. Worlu, I fear that this conversation will enter where it's not supposed to be.
No.
The leader,
you asked me a question.
I'm reacting to a part of your answer.
I'm telling you.
Okay.
Even if you don't want to agree that he's the leader now, Was he not the leader when we were doing election?
Which is where what I wanted to say.
Now.
Okay.
And so he brought all of us.
Okay.
Now I haven't brought all of us. Some people now later said that among all of us that he brought, some we are more wicked than others. I was tagged one of the more wicked than others kind of people, because after all, they claim that wicked brought everybody. There are people who decided not to resign.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably because they were not given that kind of cold shoulder and treatment.
Okay.
I got a lot of it. In fact, it got to a point that as colleagues, normally you have a meeting. You're expected to be seated before the governor arrives. So you walk into the chambers and you want to say hello to colleagues, and they won't answer you. And all such things. So at some point, it was even between some of us and the governor directly.
Animosity.
Yes. So you say something because it is you who said it. It doesn't sit down well with people. It doesn't matter how objective or how reasonable what you have said is. You do something, he asks questions, it's a problem, and all of that. But again, what was more for me was the arbitrariness.
Okay.
Yes, the arbitrariness, because as at that time now, after they brought down the assembly, they created a function within the house. That was how the Oko Jumbo and the Edison here group came up. And then the governor was more comfortable dealing with those people than with this other people. And some of us felt that, no, this is one party. This is our party, internal party issue. Find a way to resolve it. Don't divide us. Divide the house, divide the cabinet, divide everything. Even the judiciary, I believe, is divided. And then you moved the assembly, led by Edison here and then later Oko Jumbo, to the government house. That became the house of the legislature.
Okay.
And that was not supposed to be. And then you also think about the fact that he sees the salaries of the legislators. At some point, he stopped the local government chairman from functioning.
Yeah, but
all of these things put together, for me, suggested that I was in the wrong place with the wrong people. So, and in the interest of peace, it was better for me to step aside. I recall that during that period, I had an interview here on this studio. I had come thinking that we were going to talk about my vision for my ministry and all of that. So we talked, and then it got to the point where this issue of who I was loyal to came up. What I call a test of loyalty. And the question was put directly to me. Between the former governor, Wike, and the present governor, who are you loyal to? I took a pause. And I answered in a manner that I thought was politically correct.
What was the answer?
I said that on the day that we were sworn in as commissioners, normally after swearing in, the governor reads a charge to the appointees, telling you what he expects and all of that.
Yeah.
And because somehow he sees the bigger picture, there are things that he knew that we didn't know. He told us that we should not be loyal to him.
Okay.
We should not be loyal to anybody. We should not be loyal to our constituency or our ethnic group. That we should be loyal to the state. That was my answer. That the governor said we should be loyal to the state.
Okay.
And because I didn't say that I was loyal to the governor, it was misinterpreted to mean that I was loyal to Wike.
Okay.
And it became a talking point on radio and everywhere.
Now, Dr. Worlu, if there are allegations, I'm a married man. If there are allegations that I am cheating on my wife, or where 2 or 3 are gathered, they say, Sam, don't they carry another woman, we no being wife. Whether or not it is true, the one thing I will ask myself is, what may I have done for people to have this perception? If I trace it, maybe it's when I'm going home, there's a lady I give lift. So the first question will be, what was my contribution to this, regardless of the veracity of it? In the opinion being thrown around of your pro-weakness, what part did you play to push that perception? Because there were lots of people who felt that way.
Now, Sam, look at it this way. Wike and I come from the same local government.
Okay.
We also come from the same state constituency.
Okay.
What you call Obiapo constituency 2. I'm from Apo, Wike is from Apara. Now, Wike, apart from being the leader of the party in the state, is also the leader of the party in the local government. And I worked with him during the campaigns. At that time, he was the governor. All of us were loyal to him and all of that. But coming from his constituency, I will work with him more. I didn't quite have a relationship with the governor prior to that election period.
The current governor or Wike?
The current governor.
Okay.
I didn't quite have a relationship with him.
Yeah.
And then my nomination to be governor, and this is what happened in all the local governments.
Your nomination to be commissioner?
To be commissioner, rather. What happened in all the local governments? The leaders in each of the local governments will sit down and nominate somebody sent to the governor to appoint.
Yeah.
And that was how my name got to the governor. And I want to believe that to the extent that I am coming directly from the former governor meant that perhaps if there was somebody who was going to be his hatchet man, that it has to be me. Because in the cabinet, I was the only person from Wike's local government.
Okay.
That's what I want to believe. But I know that I went there thinking that this was one lifetime opportunity, if you like, that I had to contribute my quota to the development of my state.
Okay.
And like I said, I didn't lobby for the office.
Yeah.
I didn't know what the considerations were, why I was chosen. And I wanted to see how best I can use my talent, my skills, my knowledge, my whatever, to bring about a better government. And I recall that when we went for the screening, I spoke very eloquently about what kind of River State I wanted to see and what kind of relationship I wanted us to have in government to be able to achieve that.
What speaker screened you? Sorry. Was it
Martin Amehule.
Amehule. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
You know, so, and then of course after our swearing in, there was some journalists will come around and they want to ask you questions, and they asked me and I told them, and I was talking about the possibility of people working together, addressing issues, talking to problems and finding solutions to them.
Yeah.
Because ordinarily, I'm not somebody who is very comfortable with the way we do things in this part of the world. I'm not too comfortable because I read a lot. I try to see how I can understand the world in which I live in.
Yeah.
And I know
there's a standard.
the danger. Yes, I know the danger that is posed to society when you use people who are not very competent to do things. The result you will get is, you know, the result even before you start. You know, so sometimes I see a situation where some people are brought on not based on competence, but maybe because of one factor or the other. You know, and I felt that coming from my constituency as a lecturer and all of that, that we could find a way, you know, because there's what we call Pareto optimality principle in management, which says that, for example, 80% of the work done in an organization is done by 20% of the people.
Yeah.
Yes. So I wanted to see how we could orchestrate that 20% of people. And I can tell you that there are some commissioners that even now till tomorrow, if you check, you will see those who are the shining lights.
Yeah.
Even among these local government chairmen that, you know, became ill-fated.
Yeah.
Some of them were able to, within that short period, show that they have something upstairs.
Yeah.
There are others who are loafers, and so on and so forth. So, but that would not be because, like I said, no sooner had I gone in as a commissioner than the problem started. You know, and then I resigned. We went for the resolution in Abuja, finished with the president. The governor came back, announced that he was ready to do what was in that resolution.
Okay.
But after some time, he did a faux pas, and then the problem continued until now that the Supreme Court has ruled and given clear directives. Unfortunately, it will appear that the governor and his followers, what I will call his political apparatchik, are still bent on disobeying the law.
Well,
and that's most unfortunate.
We cannot say that, Dr. Worlu. Like I said, what the governor told us, Rivers people speaking about the media, is that when the copy is made public, they would study and they will act.
Sam, do you know why I'm saying this?
Today is the day that it was made public.
Do you know why I'm saying this?
So let's wait. Yeah.
Do you know why I'm saying this? You know, on a very serious note, let's not run away from issues. People should not, no matter how difficult an issue is, don't run away from it.
Okay.
Because the only way you can address it is, first of all, to identify that issue exists. Do you know that in this Supreme Court judgment, I don't know if you have read it through and through.
Yeah, I've started.
The Supreme Court queried, so to say, or lambasted the Court of Appeal for not enforcing their judgment. Because the Court of Appeal gave exactly the same judgment that the Supreme Court now delivered. The governor, they fined the governor at that time for wasting the time of the court.
2 million.
Yes, 2 million. And for wasting the money of Amewule and Co. Because he had already withdrawn the matter. A matter that you withdrew, you still brought it to appeal court. The appeal ruled. He appealed against the appeal and sought for stay of execution. He didn't get. Having not gotten stay of execution, you were expected to implement. He ran again to the Supreme Court. And before the Supreme Court would deliver judgment, he would do it again, which is what led to another fine of 5 million.
The second withdrawal was based on the president.
It could have been based on anything. It was wrong advice from the Attorney General. Wrong advice.
President's intervention.
And that is why those people who are there now, they don't need anybody to tell them. They don't even need the assembly to tell them to go. They don't need the governor to tell them to go. They should go because they never existed.
Okay.
In fact, what they did as commissioners before now, that issue I believe will come up later. They'll have to come and explain the basis upon which they sat in offices, appropriated monies, and spent them.
All right, Dr. Worlu, we will try, because we have spoken for quite some time, and I wish we had more of it, to take a few calls. I apologize that we do not have enough time for that, but we'll take as many as we can. So why I'm saying this is because to the caller who's calling, you will have limited time to make a contribution, so I can take as many as I can. 08179230002. Hello, good evening.
Good evening. My name is Jude Opane. I'm calling from Amoma.
Jude, I don't mean to rush you, but go straight to the point.
Yes, I will. Sam, do I go?
Yes, please. Go ahead.
Yeah, Sam, I think this is a random talk, political talk concerning Rivers State. It touched on a number of issues. But let me ask this question.
Okay.
On the Supreme Court ruling, which says Martin Samuel and his members are the authentic House of Assembly.
Recognized House, yes.
And it says because the governor did not have evidence to substantiate that those people have defected.
Yeah.
Now my question is,
okay,
there are other matters regarding defection of Martin Samuel and the others. Other matters in different courts. Does the Supreme Court really preclude other ones from being heard because the Supreme Court has said something? He said the governor withdrew his matter. Other groups or citizens of River State, like the Elders Forum, which I belong, and others, we have not withdrawn our matters.
Okay,
I get the question.
Can I answer?
Okay, very quickly.
Yes,
it's usually a lawyer who, but
you
quickly.
You can't go to court on that matter again. The reason is because a Supreme Court judgment becomes law. Once the Supreme Court gives a judgment, it becomes part of our law. Now, if you are going to court again on that matter, the Supreme Court will not only rule against you, it will punish you for bringing that matter before it.
Okay. Oh my. All right, I'll need a little time. Ms. Oracle, it seems that my guest, Dr. Worlu's approach is lacking balance or fairness, while he asserts that he is a proponent of democracy. His demeanor and tone suggest otherwise. Okay, that's interesting. Apologies to those who are on hold. I'll take your call shortly. And Mike says I should ask the guest to tell Rivers people what led to impeachment proceedings against Governor Sim by the past Amehule-led assembly. Just a minute, okay? Obed has been on hold. Hello, Obed.
Good afternoon or good evening, Mr. Sam.
Good evening. Please go ahead.
Mr. Sam, your guest has made one allegation, especially trying to speak on behalf of Rivers people when all of us and his opinion is not the same. He talks about Rivers people giving Rsiec chairman.
Turn off your radio, please.
So I want to ask him, when and where did Rivers people told him that Rsiec chairman should appear before it within 48 hours? Who does that? And the assembly, the ultimatum they gave initially, they were right. Why do they then go back again to give another ultimatum of 52 hours?
Okay, so your point is that I guess it's not speaking for Rivers people. Of course, you're trying to say that the assembly inviting the Rsiec chairman, they don't speak for the people.
Sam, in a representative democracy, it is the assembly that is the people of Rivers State in government.
We have to take a break.
There's no place where Rivers people are going to gather to give ultimatum. It's the assembly that we give on behalf of Rivers people.
He was trying to claim, of course, based on his position, that the assembly does not represent his interest.
Understand, because we voted for them,
okay.
And that assembly is Rivers people.
Dr. Worlu, after the break, we'll get into who are Rivers people and who does who represent. Please stay with us.